loves, what's up? I'm Ismaela Rose, and today I am telling you another story time all about my life. So let's get right into today's story time. My friend Brittany had given me a silent treatment for 3 days or so, and I was feeling very, very detached from her, and something triggered in me where I wasn't able to speak to her anymore, even though she was making some attempts and advances every now and then. But for the most part, Brittany and I never even really crossed paths, and I just either stayed in my room, in the office, in their apartment, or I was going out spending time with Amy. I'd even had a sleepover too at my friend Jenny's house because I felt uncomfortable in the apartment with Brittany. So now I was spending a lot of time playing League of Legends with Amy and her friends on Skype. One of the guys in this friend group, we're going to call him Aaron. I remember Aaron was pretty good at the game and he took it very seriously, and he would get very upset if someone missed their skill shot. Like, for instance, if I was playing Ashe and I missed an arrow, he would let me have it for missing that arrow. And I mean, I was newer to the game at that time, and honestly, I never played a MOBA before, so I was definitely new to the mechanics and learning things and figuring things out. So I was trying my best because I didn't want to be heavy. A common theme in my life, I didn't want to take up space and I didn't want to be a burden, so I wanted to do my part and I wanted to pick up my pace, so to speak, so I wasn't heavy on the team. He was also a sweet talker and a flirt, and he definitely was a bit of an ass too. Again, if you played poorly at the game, he would talk some shit. Again, my whole goal playing that game was just for the socialization aspect of it. At some point, Amy starts getting back into her Cupid role and starts hooking up Aaron and I, and I don't remember the specifics. I don't know if Aaron said he liked me, I don't know if I said I liked him, but I guess there was like a mutual flirtation going on or something. Then I remember at that exact time, Brittany had nonchalantly mentioned that she was setting up a trip to New York with the sister-in-law and potentially going there for a bit of a summer vacation or a little road trip, and posed that I could join them. And I don't remember thinking too much of it other than, oh, that would be a perfect opportunity to potentially hook up with Aaron. And so I remember I posed the question to him, if I came to visit, would we hang out? Could we hang out? And he was so down for it. He was very interested, and he was like, yes, like we can spend a weekend together. That became almost a bit of a plan, and then I realized that the New York trip might not go through, and so I was thinking, well, I have to go to Vancouver in the fall anyway. I might as well set a trip up and just go see him. And so I decided to start planning this trip with him, of letting him know that I could take a Greyhound over there to New York from Toronto, and we can hang out for the weekend still. And he said he'd get the hotel. I mean, I think I remember I offered to pay for the hotel, but he was like, no, I got it. And I remember we did do at least 1 or 2 Skype video calls. And I remember the day before I was gonna leave, he's like, I want you to model the outfit that you're gonna wear for me, so I know what you look like and I know who to look for once I'm there at the Greyhound area to pick you up. And so I was on video Skype with this guy Aaron, and I was showing him my outfit, saying, yeah, this is what I'm gonna wear. And then I go on this Greyhound, and it was a really long, like, I want to say 9-hour trip. I don't remember how long it was, all the way to Long Island. I remember it was a little confusing, and I got like a little scared. So once there was basically a couple like transfers kind of. So the Greyhound, I had to find the drop off. I went to the drop off, and then I got on the Greyhound, and then you go all the way to the border and you have to do kind of customs there. And then once you're through, you start making your way, but there's multiple drop-off locations. And so you kind of just have to be cognitive aware and figure out exactly when you're getting dropped off. And there was a transfer place in like the heart of New York City. I remember there was a transfer place, And so you had to get off the Greyhound and you had to find your next Greyhound based on platform. And this was the first time I had ever traveled by myself. And I don't know how many times I've mentioned I'm a little directionally challenged. So trying to figure out where I was going was both terrifying and very challenging. And I remember I did ask for help once or twice. And I remember I told Aaron this later, and he's like, you don't ask for help in America. Like, you just don't do that. I'm like, what do you mean you don't ask for help in America? And he's like, you just don't. You don't talk to people. You just figure it out yourself. And I was like, you guys are weird. I don't know if it's more of a New York thing. I feel like people are a little bit more friendly in like Washington State and other states, but apparently in New York, it's not okay to be asking other people for help. You just kind of figure it out yourself. I don't know. But that was the first time I'd been to New York, and it was also the first time I was outside of the country. I think a big reason why I did the jump to like doing the trip is because I was having all of this fear and dread over the upcoming travel to Vancouver. I mean, I was going to be living there. That was going to be my home for 2 years while I went to college. So I think a part of me was disassociating from the whole traveling thing, but also let's just do it kind of thing. Like, let's just do the first push so that we can start getting over this. So I think that's a big reason why I decided to go in the first place, is I just wanted to get over the fear of traveling by myself. But we met up. I remember it took a minute to find each other, but eventually we did. I mean, we were communicating by phone, called a couple of times, and then I remember we went to get food, we went to see a movie, we went to some parks. We went to my hotel room where he would not stay the night. He was gonna go back home because then his parents would be like, what are you doing? Because he still lived with his parents. So he was like, yeah, I'm not staying the night, but I'll come and get you in the morning and we'll hang out kind of thing. I can't remember it was the first night or the second night. This is when I lost my V card. And we were in this hotel room, and we'd had like a bit of a conversation before, like, oh, like, what have you done with a girl before? What have I done with guys before? And I told him, you know, I have used my mouth and my hands, and that was the extent of what I've done. And he told me he'd only really felt a girl's melons before. And that's like how I'm subtly going to phrase it for YouTube. I was shocked. I was like, really? That's the extent of your experience? And he said, yeah, I might have used my mouth and my hands a little bit, but we definitely kissed a bit. And I remember I picked out some Victoria's Secret lingerie or a nightgown or something I had gotten, and I was wearing that. And I remember I was like trying to be very cute and sexy and trying to doll up a little bit, and him and I were very awkwardly trying to navigate the situation. I was like on my back, like in the air kind of situation, and it was tough figuring it out for a moment, partly because, you know, it was my first time. It's tight. Sorry. And so eventually we made it work briefly, and then I guess my cherry popped, and because of the visuals, it was just a hard stop after that, because it grossed Aaron out a lot, and I can't blame him. I mean, a lot of people say like, oh, like, why do guys think that's so gross? What's wrong with them? But honestly, I think that's gross, and I think that if I was a guy, I would feel the same way. Like, no, like, maybe we should stop here and pick this up another time, you know? And so, no hard feelings about that at all. I mean, I was definitely not hurt by it. And honestly, I don't think I'd want to continue either. That's how I lost my V card. I remember we went to the park more. We talked a lot about our potential futures together, and it was a very like serious kind of like conversations, like, oh yeah, like we're gonna be together, like kind of thing. And then obviously we had to talk a little bit about the long distance, of the fact that I was gonna be in school for 2 years, I was gonna be across the country, I couldn't just come and visit. And we were still together after this trip down to New York. We were technically still together at this point. But I went back to Toronto, and I remember this trip took place, I want to say in August. So it was only like a few more weeks, if not less, before my trip to Vancouver. And I remember I was really freaking out. I didn't know where I was gonna stay yet. I still hadn't gotten my flight. I didn't have much money at all. So that is where I'm gonna leave today's story time off. This concludes a bit of an era. In the next episode, we are going to be picking the Storytime series back up, talking about my life experiences in Vancouver. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was definitely a little bit more of an entertaining, hot and spicy, juicy one. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, turning on my notifications bell so you don't miss my next YouTube video coming out very soon, continuing my Storytime series. Bye for now, till next time.